CNN Sports Illustrated.
Coming up next on This Week in the NBA, Game 6 and another must-win for the Jazz.
I don't think he can shoot that well again. If he can, then they deserve to win.
The Bulls can salt away Utah for the second straight year, or else a winner-take-all Game 7 Wednesday night. We'll also look ahead at what could be in store for Chicago. Could Scottie Pippen be the beneficiary of a very special gift from Michael Jordan? And possible changes for the team some think could be the next dynasty. Straight ahead, next. Oh, and what a week it has been. Glad you're with us on this Sunday night. Larry Smith along with the coach, Bob Hill. What's going on? Good to see you again. Your thoughts, could you put it into thoughts, what you saw tonight?
Larry, every coach that's coaching the NBA wants their team to approach each season on a quest and to play each game versus a high level of perfection and also to add a motivation in your attitude that's above winning. And I think what we saw tonight was just that. You know, Utah simply couldn't get away from Chicago in spite of all their problems. Michael smelled blood. He attacked, and the game was over.
And went right for it. Salt Lake City, we will go there live in a moment. But first, make no mistake, in the history of professional sports, all of sports, there may not be a more indomitable spirit than that of Michael Jordan. Not only the will to win, but the refusal to lose. Game 6 of the finals with the chips down and in hostile territory, Jordan flashed the brilliance that has become commonplace. The Jazz back home after that Game 5 win in Chicago. Scottie Pippen with the seriously ailing back. The early dunk, but just 2 field goals and then set out. Played only 7 minutes in the first quarter and then went to the locker room for the rest of the first half. Meanwhile, those good old buddies, Karl Malone, Dennis Rodman, they're going to be wrestling buddies later on this summer. Getting in a little practice here. The takedown one, and the takedown, you got to count to 3. 1, no, okay. Try to, 1, 2, oh. Okay, Rodman called for the foul. Just having some fun, I guess. Jazz looked good in the first half. Pippen back, in pain, obviously laboring, but still got it to go. Dennis Rodman there for the tip. Pippen playing the best he can. Jazz went 8 minutes in the third quarter without a field goal. Watch this, though. Shot clock winding down. Ron Harper. Ball was still in his hand, but it counts. More on that in a minute. We're tied at 79 in the fourth. Jazz come back. Karl Malone, the open jumper. He was on. Jazz by 4. Bulls tying the game up on free throws. And then John Stockton, the big 3. As the Jazz go up 86-83. Bulls down. Under a minute left. Jordan. He was everywhere in the fourth quarter. 16 points in the fourth. 4 field goals. And 8 free throws. More Jordan. The steal there. So the Jazz up by 1. Last chance. 20 seconds left. Michael working on Brian Russell. Russell. Looked like a little push, but I don't think so. Jordan. And nails it. If this is his final game in the NBA, what a clinching moment it would be. Last chance for the Jazz. One more shot at it. John Stockton off the pick. Just misses. And the Jazz come up short yet again. The Bulls still unbeaten in Game 6s in the finals. 87-86. Their 6th title in 8 years. A repeat of the three-peats as they get it done again. No question it was Jordan who was the most valuable player in this series. His 6th finals MVP, 45 points. Jordan took all but 2 of Chicago's shots in the final 8 minutes. 8 for 8 in the fourth, 16 points in the fourth quarter. A performance that Phil Jackson, in fact, said was the most impressive Jordan show that he's ever seen.
Turnovers coming down the stretch really hurt us. You can't afford to give them second chances. With Michael Jordan out there, he's going to make the plays. He was able to do that, and you live with that.
It was an amazing game. I don't know if anybody could write a scenario that's quite as dramatic as that was tonight. Stockton hitting a 3, and we had to come back and score 2 baskets. Michael having to pick up the load of the team. It was a wonderful win for us.
Well, I think everybody knows how he should be remembered. As the greatest player that's ever played. I don't know what else you could do. I mean, that's a great thing about him and what all he's done for not only the league, but everybody that's a part of this league. And that's to be commended.
Just refuses to lose. Vince Cellini now joining us from Salt Lake City. Vince, you were right there. In fact, this was the most phenomenal performance that Jordan had since '93 when he scored 55 against Phoenix. But what a fantastic performance by Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan, a true American sports hero, and never more evident than in this Game 6 of the 1998 NBA Finals, with Scottie Pippen battling a back injury that made it difficult to get up and down the court, let alone score and pass and penetrate. Michael Jordan took this team and carried them on his back for a 6th NBA championship. After the game, exhausted, emotionally drained, Michael Jordan sat next to me and discussed the long road to number 6.
Things pop up in the course of the year. Scottie got hurt early, and everyone picked other teams to win, or we would have a tough time because we were old. And with all that, we just it went with like a grain of salt. We just fought a little bit harder.
With each championship seems to be a different emotion for you. I remember you clutching the trophy, and then you return from your retirement, your personal tragedy, losing your dad and winning a championship, being on the scorer's table and celebrating. Personally, where does this sit with you right now?
For my wife, my kids, and I think to have my mother here, which she's more or less the sole energizer to all of us, and she's been saying prayers for all season long just to get me through it. And I'm happy that she was able to come to this game and see us win, and for everybody. I think for all the support that we've gotten from the Chicago Bulls fans, and everybody wants to replace us so quickly, I'm glad that we were able to finish this off right.
Unfortunately, you only get to enjoy the moment for a little bit because already questions about next year and what's going to happen next year. You're already a CEO. Jerry Reinsdorf says he wants to make you a GM too. Will you do everything in your power to try to get this thing and keep it together?
Yeah, I mean, I have to. I think from my dedication to the organization, to my teammates, if that's the case, if it can be done, and a lot's been said over the course of the year, and I think from a sympathetic standpoint right now, everybody wants to keep everybody together. I think that's good, but when time comes in and people have time enough to think about some business decisions or whatever, attitudes change, and I think that's one of the reasons that I say the decision is going to have to be made in the course of the summer when everybody had time enough to think about where they want to take this whole thing.
Well, certainly Scottie has now left the door open,
Sure.
and I would imagine he's the linchpin for this whole thing, is he not?
Yeah, he is. I think we want what's best for Scottie Pippen. For so long, he's been underpaid, and he's given us a lot, and he's never really got his recognition. I think for him, we want to make sure everything's right for Scottie Pippen, and I think everything has to be somehow fitted together, where everybody's happy. And if everybody can be happy once again, I'm all for it. If everybody can't be happy, then I think it would be a mistake to make things happen.
Your legacy speaks for itself. Now, where does the Chicago Bulls team rank with 6 championships all time as you look at the historical perspective?
Well, I can't really, Boston's won so many. To say that we're better than the Boston team is it's difficult because we played in a different era. But I know one thing, we've set a certain standard for this era. And it has to be one of the greatest teams in this era, along with the Lakers. The Lakers won 5, we won 6, so that gives us an advantage.
Michael Jordan, you have a statue. Perhaps Mount Rushmore is next for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you
Enjoy it. Have a great summer. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Let's head back to Atlanta.
All right, phenomenal performance. In fact, really, Phil Jackson mentioned also during the post-game news conferences that this was even better than the 38-point Game 5 performance last year in Utah when Jordan had flu symptoms. Let's rejoin Vince again. Vince, you guys were there courtside, you and Brian Burwell. How did you see this game?
Well, I thought it was, again, truly heroic. And Brian Burwell's with me now. And after that interview, Michael Jordan sat here and just kind of slumped in his chair and relaxed. And you could see the weight of the world off his shoulders after that interview. He sat for a good 5 minutes and chatted.
This guy is the Babe Ruth of our generation. You learn more and more about what makes him a legend. Perfect example. In those precious few seconds before that final shot, Michael Jordan is sitting there remembering the move he made on Brian Russell last year. And he says, you know what, man? I was looking for him to reach. He reached with his right hand last year. He reached with his left hand this year. So he was setting it up from last year's move. That is just amazing to me.
Incredible athlete, just the legend of Michael Jordan. As we look at this game, Scottie Pippen not right in the first half. The back spasms are bothering him. Played 7 minutes, and it looked like curtains for Chicago, and maybe a 7th game for a while.
Michael told us he didn't expect Scottie to return. Those back spasms were bothering him a great deal. And, of course, like any good competitor, Jeff Hornacek took full advantage of it by popping Scottie in the back several times every time he posted up. Scottie goes to the locker room. They did not think he was coming back, but a masseuse, Brigitte Quintala, worked and gave him deep muscle massage, and that apparently was what had got him back on the floor. And Scottie comes back out there, and It was a valiant effort by Scottie Pippen.
Nice plug for Brigida, by the way.
Yes.
Michael Jordan said, I'll do my part. He told his teammates, you need to do your part and get this thing together. But Michael certainly did in the second quarter when he had a big second quarter scoring-wise for Chicago.
Michael knew he had to do this because Utah was ready to pull away. Jordan, 6 for 11 field goals, 2 for 4 from the line, 15 enormous points. Because if Jordan does not take control of this game at that point, Chicago would have just fallen away, I really think.
Chicago is trailing by 4 points at the half. In the third quarter, it was clearly fatigue starting to set in, even on the great Michael Jordan. You can see that in his shots and the misses.
He was paying the price for expending so much energy in the second quarter. Couldn't really get his shot. They turned it into a jump shooter. Russell did a very good job of not letting it get to the basket, which is why it's so miraculous that when it mattered most, he was able to get to the basket.
But then when Chicago needed their guy to step up and to take over and to do something in an emergency situation, Michael did it both ends of the floor.
He takes Russell down low the first time, beats him off the dribble, lays it up. Then we go to the other end of the floor, and he has the presence of mind to come around the weak side and strip Karl Malone. Karl didn't even see him coming. Goes down the floor, and as he took us through that play, he's waiting for Brian Russell to reach. As soon as he did, fades back, pulls up, hits the jump shot, and Phil Jackson told him, you can't do that, Michael. Take it to the rack. Michael pulls up and takes the jump shot.
This year the Bulls did it the hard way, but the important thing is they did it. Now let's go back to Atlanta.
Okay, guys, thanks a lot. More from you in just a moment. Michael Jordan, no field goals in the final 6 minutes in this game until he hit the 2 field goals late. We kept talking about it, and you mentioned, too, as we'll get to your comments in just a moment after a break. But you mentioned also that Michael will find his legs when he has to, and he did, and so the Bulls are champions. So, Bob Hill's going to tell us more about that in just a moment. Stay with us. We take a break. Much more to come. Back to Salt Lake City. We'll also look ahead. Phil Jackson, a one-on-one from him. Also, is this the last time we'll see this kind of scene for Scottie Pippen with the Bulls? Well, the Pip's future and more when This Week in the NBA continues. Stay with us.
well-meaning leaders of the world to mount pressure on the new leader of the country, Abdulsalam Abubakar, to ensure he carries out the transition to civilian government come October 1st, 1998. To do this effectively, I believe he has to start by releasing all political detainees unconditionally.
Monday on CNN Newsstand. In the game, they're heroes to millions of kids, but off the court, they let their own children down.
They don't know half the truth about the way these men treat their children.
NBA stars and their personal fouls. Plus, an epidemic is sweeping across the heartland. A drug that may permanently damage America's youth. Crank moves to the high plains. CNN and Time on CNN International.
Gotcha. Here we go. Bob Hill is with us now. I'm glad we finally get a chance to get some of your comments. You know, the fourth quarter and Jordan coming through is what everyone's going to talk about. But really, his night began early with Scottie Pippen having those major back pains.
It was just amazing, Larry, that he felt, you know, he knew what he had to do, and he just took over the game, and he wouldn't let Utah get away from him. He just kept hanging in there, doing whatever he had to do. You know, there's one of his threes. I mean, he had 3 threes in the first half. He made threes, and now he's down in the post. There's just not a lot you can do with that. They played him isolated one-on-one. Again, there's the jumper. I mean, he just took him off the dribble. They didn't double team him, so he had single coverage all night, and he took advantage of it. But he just kept him in the game all by himself.
And he had to keep him in the game because Utah's execution in the first half was phenomenal. Utah, the entire first half, they did everything right.
They played almost a perfect game in the first half, I thought. They got back to their execution. It's what they have to do because they don't really have guys that they can beat you off the dribble. So their execution was great, and they went back to their bread and butter just like they did in the last game. They went and they hustled. I mean, this was a great example here where they knocked the ball loose. Nobody picks Hornacek up here. They made the hustle plays. He makes the three. He got that crowd in the game. That was huge. Here, Chicago forcing their pick and roll down like they did the whole series for the most part. The weak side, as you see, their heads are turned. Isley makes the drive. The rotations come, but Karl Malone beats them, has to end up taking a tough shot here, but makes a quick decision drive off the wrong foot, makes the shot. I mean, their execution was there. They were crisp, and they just did a terrific job. Here is their bread and butter also. Now watch Michael. Michael just kind of turns his head here. They're gonna fake this cut, and he's gonna slip a pick here. Stockton slips it, easy basket. I mean, that's something I guarantee was on Chicago's board before the game, but Utah's execution was great. You know, they made it tough for Chicago. They played well.
They really did. 61% shooting, in fact, in the first half for Utah. But bizarre plays that you said as a coach afterwards will really keep Jerry Sloan awake for a few nights this summer.
Well, Isley makes a three that was clearly good. They showed that, and when you Jerry will go to bed tonight and he'll go crazy. Harper makes a two that, that probably didn't count. There's a shot. Michael makes this shot off the pick and roll. Nobody picks him up. It was one of those nights. They throw it away here. Here's the three. Isley drives it. The ball's clearly out of his hand. He makes it. That makes it a 7-point lead if they count that. But it stays 4. Chicago goes down and scores. Now here's Harper. You'll see it's a close one. The ball's still in his hand. The shot goes in. That's 2 that probably shouldn't have counted. So there's a 9-point swing there where Utah just kind of got a little lucky. But sometimes it takes luck.
And when Jerry Sloan goes back to McLeansboro, Illinois, and rides that tractor on his farm this summer, he'll be thinking about that quite a bit all summer long. Well, 6 titles in 8 years, only the Boston Celtics, 11 championships in 13 seasons back in the 50s and 60s, stands as a greater dynasty than the Bulls of the 1990s. Let's now go back out to Salt Lake City and Vince. Vince, what do you got for us?
Thanks, Larry. You know, Phil Jackson, well, they've had their fill in Chicago. The coach is all but gone after this, his 6th championship. After the game, he talked to Brian and me about this long grind of a championship season.
Heart-stopping game. Dramatic right to the very finish. Obviously, their last shot even was a heart-stopper. But at some point in the fourth quarter, we had foul situations in our favor for a change in this game, and I just said to Michael, you got to take it to the hoop. You're too tired to hit that shot. And it's all said and done, he stops and hits a jumper. But that's his confidence, and that's how he plays.
Tell me, really and truly, at this moment, what you are feeling. Are you feeling partial relief or happiness, both, more?
We're really glad this is over. Make no doubt about it. You guys are too. I know it seems to go on and on this season, and it's been such a dramatic, baton march that we've gone through. Just ever since Indiana, we've been just under-energized and a little bit undermanned, and we've been able to win. And it's just been an amazing thing that these guys have a great heart, and they just keep coming back, and we're relieved, but we're very proud of our effort.
You have reiterated over and over again, this is it. This is the end for me. If it is the end for you here in Chicago, are you taking a year off? Would you prefer to end up in Seattle? Would you like to go to the Clippers? What are your plans, my man?
I got plans of getting back to Chicago tonight sometime at 3 or 4 in the morning, and that's about it. I love coaching basketball. I don't think you get any better than what I've done in Chicago. And to continue on with this profession, obviously I have to listen to what people have to say, but that's not my intention. My intention right now is to sit back, enjoy this, and take some time and reflect on it. And if it takes a year to do that, so be it. If it takes 2 years to do it, so be it.
But that answer wasn't quite good enough for us, especially Brian Burwell. And Brian talked to Phil as he exited the room about his future. Tell us what he said.
Yeah, I said, Phil, you tap danced on that one. Are you going to take a job next year? He says, I love the coaching profession, and if there are some good offers out there, I'm going to be interested. And you know what? There are some good jobs out there, particularly Seattle, maybe the Clippers. I look to see Phil Jackson coaching next season.
Right, that year off may be out the window. We'll be back with more on This Week in the NBA right after this.
For chocolate lovers, this has to be the perfect job. Employees of the Vancouver, British Columbia-based Chocolate Arts spend their days turning out mouth-watering masterpieces. Budding artists use traditional and not-so-traditional tools in the creative process. Owner Greg Hook admits to being hooked on all things chocolate, whether flocking to his chocolate birdhouses or plucking guitars from his store shelves. Hook's customers can't seem to get enough of his sweet stuff. Scientists think it's largely chemical. They say chocolate elevates the level of serotonin in the brain. Whether it's chemical or culinary, chocolate continues to be a steady seller for Chocolate Arts. And Greg Hook has managed to turn a love of chocolate into a rich and satisfying career. And that, for one man, may be the right formula.
Betty Davis versus...
Get out before I kill you.
Joan Crawford.
Maybe I've got great talent.
Witness all the venom, the passion,
Love me, honey.
and the fire of one of the silver screen's longest-running rivalries.
Are you afraid to die?
Feel the heat of these two Hollywood legends in a series of double bills throughout June. Betty versus Joan, Mondays from 3 on TNT Classic Movies.
I'd like to kiss you, but I just washed my hair.
Bulls owner Jerry Reinsdorf said during the Game 5 telecast Friday night that he wants to bring everyone back for a run at a 7th title, saying he doesn't want to be known as the guy who broke up the Bulls. And that's probably a good idea, really, in Chicago these days. Brian Burwell rejoins us now, some insider information. In this perpetually changing drama, does this mean the champs will return intact?
Not necessarily. Scottie Pippen is playing the good businessman. He keeps on fluctuating back and forth. I'm staying, I'm going, I'm staying, I'm going. But I've been told that Michael Jordan will be willing to accept less money, maybe about $25 million if it means getting Scottie back at somewhere between about $15 million. However, I've also been told that the Phoenix Suns are very well prepared to go anywhere between 17 to 20 million to get Scottie, so the ante will have to go up. Also, Michael may be willing, but David Falk, his agent, told me just a few minutes ago, Michael may want to give up all that money, but I'm not quite ready to do that yet. The plot thickens.
Well, he'll just sign some more endorsement contracts and make his money back. David can't. You know, Phil Jackson admitted after the game that he's already cleaned out his locker at the United Center, but you don't think this is finished?
I mean, come on, Larry. I mean, we're all caught up in the moment here. I mean, this team has left footprints in the history of the NBA. They got a great, great city. They've all done a phenomenal job, and to break it up now because of money would be crazy in my mind. I think we'll see everybody back. They can sign. You know, how hard is it going to be to sign some free agents to play there? Right. I mean, they're not going to get a lot of money, but I think we'll see everybody back. Michael will be back. What's Michael going to do if he doesn't play basketball? And they'll take care of Scottie, and they'll all be back, and they'll take a run at another championship. That's honestly how I feel.
Of course, there are 28 teams that would love to see them kind of move on,
yeah,
right? Well,
yeah, a whole lot of them.
Getting back to Brian, lots of love in the Lakers front office now, Brian. GM Jerry West has kissed and made up with owner Jerry Buss and will be around next season. Likewise for Coach Del Harris. But will the makeup of this team on the court be altered?
The makeup of the team will definitely be altered. Nick Van Exel has been told, as has his agent, that he should not expect to come back to the Lakers next season. Person who could replace him, Steve Nash, the backup point guard from Phoenix. It's already clear to the Phoenix Suns that he will not re-sign next season when he becomes a free agent. So, and he will probably be traded, maybe not to the Lakers, but he will be moved before the draft.
Wow, that soon. Okay, Brian, thanks a lot. We'll get back to you in just a moment here, but stay with us. We look ahead and ask what's next for both the Bulls. We already have that a little bit, and the Jazz and the league as well. After this, stay with us.
Karlovy Vary, Czech Republic will host the 33rd International Film Festival beginning July 3rd. The event is divided into two categories, one for feature films, the other for documentaries. There will also be a showing of hit films from last season. The warm and witty play Duet for One is being performed in Sydney, Australia. Preview performances in the Ensemble Theatre begin July 9th. And the Muni Opera in Springfield, Illinois presents Godspell. The musical begins July 24th.
Europe, an ever-closer union. With correspondents across the continent, CNN International brings you the fullest coverage of the European Union. From reports about the single currency to political integration and future expansion to the east. If it happens in Brussels or London, Berlin or Paris, or anywhere across the 15 states of the European Union, CNN International is the channel of record.
87-86 the final. The Bulls beat the Jazz for their 6th NBA title this decade. Let's now go back out to Salt Lake City. Vince and Brian, got about 15 seconds. Your final thoughts.
Well, the Utah Jazz came within 1 point of forcing a 7th game against the Bulls in their backyard. And it took a superhuman effort by Michael Jordan to ensure another Chicago championship. A lot of questions for the Jazz come this summer. And the big question may be, will they ever get it done?
I think you're right. The thing that I said before the season started was I wanted to see Michael Jordan tested to his limit. He was tested. He came through. Tremendous.
No question about that. No question. All right, guys, thanks a lot. For Bob Hill, we've had a lot of fun. We'll see you next week. Take care. Have a good week.